I am absolutely thrilled. My number one guest, the top guest that I wanted on this show, and who knew that our lives would come to this? With the divine order that's out there, the script writing that's out from the some sort of higher source. Who would know that this all began with our guest was a huge radio personality in Sacramento, and he talked on the air about a man crush that he had. And that man crush was me, and I accepted it gladly. I loved it. We had fun with it, and finally we met, and with much anticipation. I've never had somebody express a man crush to me, at least a straight man. And so I was very excited for our first meeting. He was down with his radio station doing a remote for American Idol when American Idol was new. It was in Hollywood, and we had our meeting, and I actually was looking in the mirror, how I was dressed and how I looked. And we met, and we've been friends ever since. So Adam, or as you were known then, Lucas, I still have you as Lucas in my phone. We've had quite a background. You were in my movie. I cast you in my movie, Totally Baked. And when you're doing these things, when you're living life, you just don't know what's in store, do you? And both of us had an experience with a cult that brings us here today. But thanks for being here, and welcome, my friend.
Thanks, Craig. And also, I when I wrote my book, I put you was a big chapter. There was a big part of you in my book as well, from my experience of what happened when I was in your movie, and then also talking about having a man crush on you, and finally getting you on my radio show. So that's always good.
And did you write in the book, I disappointed you when you met me in real life?
And by the way, and I tell this to everybody because, I run into people all the time, and people that do stand-up comedy, and they're like, well, who's your favorite comic? And, you try to throw around like these, names that more people that have been in bigger movies than you. And I was like, to be honest, the best stand-up comic that I've ever seen live is Craig Shoemaker. And what's funny is like the average person may not know that, but all the comedians, like the top comedians, all reference and say, anytime I interview a top comedian, they always, and I talk about Craig, like, oh my gosh, he's the best. They all say,
wow. Thank you for that. I needed that. I've had a little self-esteem dash of late, and I'm really happy to hear that. I enjoy that, especially saying that comes from peers. My belief is, a lot of times I believe that it's the opposite. Especially, I think that people project their own stuff onto you. I don't know if this is a whole other topic, or maybe it's not. Maybe we'll head this way. The world of projection. I noticed that the critics of me, it's always people that are like me. It's a white male. But I find that lesbian comedians or lesbians, period, and black comedians love me. Like I had D.L. Hughley said, yours is the best special I've ever seen. I was, thanks, man. Cat Williams, man, I know you. You're a legend. But white people, I think, or anybody. So Cat Williams has problems with his, with a lot of his brethren, right? Is, black friends and black comedians. So I think that's what happens in life is I think we project the stuff onto others who are a reflection of us that we don't want to see. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that that's true. And especially nowadays, we live in a time where, it's just, the world is so different than it was 20, 30 years ago that it's projecting things now as like, it's way more than it was back then.
Well, yeah. And it's people think that they all have the right to their opinion, and they do. They have the right to express it, and they do. But do you have the right to take someone down based on a meme, a quote, or something you didn't understand? Do you really have that right? And why exercise that right to try to take someone out? I mean, one of my goals is to enhance people and really inspire them to go in a different direction. Even this podcast is called My Wife Joined the Cult. One of the purposes of this is to awaken some people, which is why I have you on here, because you certainly have an experience. I mean, I'm just going to tell everybody that you're a really good guy. Like, you're a really good, solid guy. And, obviously we all have our stuff that we've done in the past. But people wouldn't listen to you, the good guy. The people don't listen to me, a good man with good intentions. And they see some part of themselves they don't want to see. They get into fear. Even the title of this podcast, people are angry with me. How dare you do that to her? Well, they're not going to the part, but how dare she do this to the family? they're not going there. And I'm so. What's your experience with that? With your, I had to say, I didn't even introduce you properly.
My
I'm watching.
situation.
I'm watching Netflix. It's called Sins of My Mother, right?
I
And
think so. Yeah.
yeah, you think so? So I'm watching Netflix. I love cult documentaries. I guess because my dad was a cult leader. My ex-wife left the marriage and our family for a cult. So which could be defined in any way, which we're about to find out with yours is also different. So I'm watching this thing. Oh my God, this woman just went from, just like my wife just went from this normal, happy, family oriented and good person to this dark place and literally committed murder and of her children and her ex-husband and probably her brother. And I'm looking and up pops my old buddy. I couldn't believe it. You're her brother.
Right.
So what better person to have on here to watch this very negative transformation take place in her, which we're going to get to have you have the experience like I do of yelling out there, please, somebody listen to me, and no one's listening. That's why I really wanted to have you on here. What better person to share your experience? And by the way, there aren't many of us out there, what I mean? So how lucky are we to have this connection?
And that's why, the reason I wrote a book and did a podcast was to really have families, friends, have them be aware of what's going on and to be open and talk about things. Because, a lot of times in families, when things are going weird or somebody's acting weird, and you don't call that out, or you don't, you try to call that out, and somebody just pushes that away and sweeps it under the rug because I think emotionally, they don't want to deal with it, or they don't want to think the worst of somebody, that their family could be doing something. So they automatically discount everything that you say, which was what happened to me. But the reason I wrote the book and we do this podcast is to make sure that families and people talk and open up. And you're a huge advocate of talking things through and
yes,
and all the things that can also help and bring to light truth. And you and I are all about truth.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when you tell the truth, some people call you a liar, which is the worst for me. I hate it. Anytime you try to tell the truth and they're like, oh, that can't be true. And you're like, no, this is the truth. This is what happened.
Yeah. I mean, one of the key, I got such a beautiful quote out of Daryl Hammond's documentary about his mom. And he suffered a lot of torture from her. And he said, the truth is a fiend to people like this. And I find that to be the truth. I have found that. And the other thing they'll blow back is, well, that's your truth. That's your truth. Then I'm compelled to find witnesses, like my children. Well, then it's like, oh, you're subjecting your children to it. Well, no, my children are subjected to it anyway. So were those children who are now dead, your niece and nephew.
Yeah.
Yes, all because no one would listen. No one would listen to your take on it. Your truth was, this is my experience. Experience, if it's actual experience you're sharing, that is the truth of what happened. Now, then there's a different perspective. I mean, I know my ex has a different take on, for instance, when I was arrested, she had me arrested. Now, I know for a fact what happened. It's factual. But she has twisted those facts to make her look like the victim and me look like the perpetrator, and that people can do that, especially in this society. Now, did you find that more people, because you're a male, would believe her ahead of you?
Yeah, obviously that even happened in our family, because if you think, my family was super close, we all got together all the time. And I was supposed to be apparently everybody's favorite, because I would come to town and everybody, I would joke and laugh with everybody, and I make sure I spent time with each individual person. It just seemed like I was that person. But when push came to shove, when I went to my parents, I said, Lori is acting weird. She's freaking out. Something's really wrong with her. We need to do something to help her. As soon as I did that, then they looked at me like, no, Lori's fine, leave her alone, kind of thing.
And did you find that you became the enemy?
Yes, and then I get shut out. I'm the one that they're like, well, stay away from Adam because he's part of something, and whatever lies that Lori may have said about me, because obviously she's trying to cover up what she was doing,
Yeah.
they all bought in because she was a girl, a woman that was,
Right.
nice and kind and all that stuff too. So
All that stuff. Yeah.
I had that role played on me too.
Well, it's interesting. The other thing, you and I have a lot in common is you were in the limelight and popular and ratings. You literally had ratings and you were the number one. And so you're out there. So people assume a person like that. And you know that I've had my great deal of success in the entertainment business as well. So they think you're now the manipulator. You, Craig, and you, Adam, are the manipulators because look what you've done. You have become this media person and it's ego, and they assume it's your ego, and so of course you're lying. You're putting up a front because that's what you do every day as an entertainer and all of that. Did you have that element as well that played into it?
I'm sure that definitely played into it. And when you do have some kind of success or something like that, where you're in the public eye, I don't think they, when you're telling them something, I don't know how they don't take it to 100%. Maybe they'll be like, well, that's probably 50% true or something like that. But we get discredited because of being entertainers or being in the limelight, I think.
Also, they think that you're a control freak, you're the controller. White male doesn't help either these days. And so we're discredited when you walk into the room. I'm a non-practicing white male at this point.
Exactly.
And what happens is there's so much judgment that's attached. I saw a video the other day, and I purposely am out of politics because I'm just watching this absolute venom that takes place, a hatred. But it's all rooted in fear. So is this, by the way. It's all rooted in fear. And people in fear are afraid of truth. I watched this video of a guy who went to this rally of the Pink Cats or whatever they're called, and he was simply asking a question. She's screaming at him with this. She had never met him before. Like, you people, get out of my, oh my God, it was unbelievable. She was at the top of her lungs, not listening to a word he was saying, but she was trying to understand her. But because he was a white male, and because I think he might have had maybe a Trump hat on, I don't remember that part, but she assumed.
Yeah.
So much assumption is made. And I'm wondering if so much assumption was made with you because of being this, look, we're powerful white men as well. I mean, we're powerful, but you and I do not use our power in that way, though. That's what's funny about it. That's not our thing. It's not our jam.
We are different than a lot of other people that are in our shoes. But, when Lori told me that she was becoming a translated being, when I was sitting in her kitchen with her one night, she goes, if a bullet hit me, nothing would happen to me, and I don't ever have to eat again. I am literally transitioning into an immortal being. And I looked at her and I was like, Lori, none of that is true. And she looked at me and she goes, you think I'm crazy, don't you? And I was like, Lori, I don't know if you're crazy, but I know what you're telling me is not true. And from that point forward, she had never talked to me again. And
wow.
From that point, she ostracized me completely.
And she got others to collude with her. That's what bothers me about any cult, and my ex-wife in particular. Yeah. Now they're going to go get their gang. They're going to go get a gang that's going to back them up. They're going to go, you go, girl. Yeah,
that's exactly what happened. She found this whole group of people,
and it's especially women's empowerment. And here's the thing: you and I are both sensitive guys. They think that we're these white dudes with patriarchal. I fought for rights for women my whole life. But I don't know what I was fighting for, because what I believe did not really exist. What exists is there's absolutely something that's not being dealt with, and she wasn't dealing with something. My ex-wife, if you could core this down, wasn't dealing with something. The core principles of life were being ignored, and then somebody else gets empowered. Because you're not looking to a higher source, you're looking to somebody else that's going to fill in this hole. She looked to her leader, Lori looked to her leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they put the belief in it. Then you get the peers that help out. Yeah, you need to, because they're putting out this, I needed to do this. So now she put it out there. How did your other siblings and your mom respond to her?
Well, the problem was that Lori was telling lies to Summer, my youngest sister, different than she would telling to my mom and dad. So they would never put anything together of what she was saying that she was doing. Like we all knew that she was trying to predict the end of the world and the second coming of Jesus and all the things that were going to happen and all this stuff. And then she met with Chad, and Chad was putting all these things in her head, and then there was a group, and I still believe, people think it was just Lori and Chad and Alex, but I think there was at least 10 to 15 more people that knew a lot more than what is being said. And then I think there's still hundreds of people that were part of a group, a cult, like you said, that are still around. And I don't know if they, if I was part of a cult and I would be like, okay, well, the cult leaders are both in jail the rest of their life. They killed kids. This is nothing what I signed up for. But and I would believe that people would just run the other way. But from what I understand after interviewing some people, there are still people believing that Lori and Chad are going to get let out of jail and God's coming. So there's still people, even though the cult leaders, the heads cut off, they're still scampering around waiting. That's how crazy some people can. And I don't know how brainwashing works. I don't understand it. But I know if you have to be brainwashed to actually detach yourself from reality and what really is happening.
Well, that is it. That's exactly how brainwashing works. They find someone who's vulnerable that's looking for answers, and they give them the answers. And the answers appeal to their fears. These answers appeal to the things that they desire that they don't believe that they're getting. They do it through praise. They do it through lies, manipulation, and they prey upon your feelings. And what happened with my ex is she's got this woman, this leader, right? And this woman's got her. And she praises her and acts like this is her greatest friend. They don't even live 300 miles away. I mean, it just acts like she's this. They just keep on going with this. And come on, ladies, mamas, and and the mamas are going, yeah, I'm not really understood at home. This is my theory. But I'm not understood at home, and I don't want my role to be just a mother. And I want to have my own life, and I want to have my own freedom, and all this, thinking that they're actually in some cage. So this is their breakout. This is the person that's going to help them break out. This is their freedom to what they perceive to be true. So then it becomes a brainwashing. Well, it is true. It is true. It is true. It is true. Need to get out. Need to get out. Need to get out. And I think that's the dynamic that happened with her. And I think it happens with many people is once they join, then they're in, and then their entire being is taken over by absolute pontification and just beating in and beating in. It's almost like somebody, it's a hostage. And hostages, when they do these tortures, that's what it is. They just put it into them, put it into them, put it into them, and eventually you give in. You see people that confess to crimes they didn't commit. It's my manipulation.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm doing this podcast, it's called My Wife Joined the Cult, but this goes on in society, period. It goes on in politics. It goes on by watching the news. They're going to convince you through peer pressure, shame, fear, anything they can do, any method they could do to follow them, that they have your answers. And how about you? I mean, what do you do in your life to combat against things like that with attempted brainwashing? What do you do about it?
I mean, anytime anything sounds fishy to me or anybody wants to, I'm super nice guy and I listen to everybody. And, there's one time a guy called me on the phone when I was married and it's like, hey, you can get this trip to Hawaii for like $400. He's going through this whole thing and I'm laying in bed next to my wife. And she's like, and I'm like getting my credit card out so I can. She slams the phone down, hangs up the phone. Is like, you idiot, you're being scammed. This is a scam. I was like, no, it's legit. So yes, I have been naive, but I feel like if anything feels like evil, anything feels dark, anything doesn't feel right, and I go with my gut feeling now. And I come to a point in my life where I don't need to be accepted by everybody, or I don't care what people think. I used to,
Yeah.
huge for me, like being in radio, I cared about what everybody thought.
Wow.
My livelihood was getting ratings and having people like me on the radio. So I cared about all those things. So I was very sensitive to that. But I've got to a place now where, I really focus on just trying to do the right things. And if anything feels odd, I go the opposite way.
Oh, good for you. I'm not that recovered. Bro, I just dated someone that I just believed the whole package. I believed it all. I went in. And you know what? Let's talk about this. Part of it is a childlike enthusiasm that I have. And I think you and I, look, we share a lot of stuff. I mean, basically, that's probably why your man crush on me is it's a good projection of self. It's a good reflection of self that we're seeing. We're seeing you and I are good people. We're just really good people in a world of some not good people. And we're trying to manage through that. And again, this podcast is dedicated to assisting people to kind of get out of that realm, out of that system that we put ourselves in, the people pleasing. Oh my God, because it doesn't. Now, you and I can say we've had the top of the ratings. I've been to Comedian of the Year, American Comedy Awards, Emmy Awards. I've been at the top. You've been at the top. And what happens? People are going to take you down. And then you take on their energy. It's an energy thing. It's an energy field. But to keep that field, I'm really happy to hear that you are keeping that field of you have to discard what they think about you. As long as you stay in your truth, some people are offended by that truth. And they're going to be upset with you and come after you and analyze you and criticize you and attack you. They're going to, because they don't want to look at themselves. That's my theory or belief. And I think that's been proven true.
Yeah, I believe that too. Anytime, and I call them negative Nancy's. That like there's a lot of people in life who are just negative, right?
Yes.
And I think with that they bring your energy down. And so I try to align myself now that, and Craig, as we've known each other for like 20 something years. As we get older and we listen, that we lose a lot of the people that we would hang out with.
That's
Because
right.
our time is so valuable, and who we spend time with. You and I both recognize we want to be around positive energy and spend our time doing
Yeah.
positive things, because negative brings depression. It brings
Yeah.
hard feelings and all these things. So yeah, that's a big thing for me too.
Yeah. And what I think that Lori and my ex-wife have in common is they look at you as a negative because you're not in agreement with them.
Right.
And they run from that. They run from I cannot believe sometimes the ability that she has. And even this recent girlfriend, the ability to cut off, block, run. Can't find them on social media anymore. How clever they are in doing this so they can hide and only have the people in front of them that will buy the image, to buy the BS. They're only going to put those people in front of them. So the way, I guess, not to combat that, but I just want to honor something that you're basically saying that I've been saying for a little while now. I want to hang in rarefied air and with those people. And we're the rare ones, though. The ones that really have the integrity, the ones that will even be reflective and really dig down to the stuff where I make mistakes. I want to be with those people and be on that process, the process of recovery, the process of positive thinking and being. And so I'm going to welcome you to that club. We're going to have the Rarefied Air Club, okay? You've heard of the Mile High Club. We're in the Rarefied Air Club.
Just completely different reference too. But going back to your wife and Lori, things that they have in common.
Yeah.
With Lori, when Lori would tell me stuff like, she wanted me to read these near-death experience books, and she wanted me to listen to this podcast, and every time she would call me after she would mail me a book or tell me this, and I told her, no, I haven't read it, I haven't listened to it, and then 3 weeks would go by, she'd call, have you read that? And I was like, no, I'm not really interested in that, da 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 da. And she would do that with everybody. And so the people like my brother Alex, who tried to be a stand-up comic, he thought the world of you. He needed to be accepted. He was alone. He needed something. and Lori gave him something that she got from Chad.
Exactly.
And so because he felt like, oh, I'm needed here with this, I'm going to read these. Alex used to listen to 8 hours of Comedy Central or Comedy Network on XM satellite radio while he's driving his truck. So one night he's driving his 18-wheeler, and I call him. I was like, what's good comedy? What did you hear? He goes, oh, no, I'm listening to this new podcast. I was like, huh? He goes, oh, this guy, Mike Stroud, his podcast. It's the most spiritual I've ever felt in my life. And I was like, 8 hours of spiritual podcasts? I said, what happened to the comedy? He's like, no, this is, I mean, there's going to be tense, and you need to listen to this. Like, he literally completely went from one thing to another, as Lori had said, this is the thing. And so he bought into it. And that's how he with that whole thing.
And he ended up committing murder himself, right?
Oh yeah, he's definitely involved in all the murders with that, and then he got murdered. It hasn't been proven, but if you put one and one together, everything that happened, that people are like, oh, it's just a coincidence he died. It's a coincidence. There's no coincidences of what happened in that whole thing. Not one coincidence. They were all murdered.
It's a world of darkness, although they appear to be light.
Right.
They have smiles on their faces. The smile that my ex has and the recent girlfriend lights up a room. And there's where I get fooled. And because I'm vulnerable and I also need some sort of validation, I need some sort of approval. It's just that I guess I seek it in a different way. I seek it internally first. And where can I really connect to this true source? Truth, the true source, not based on fear. Take that pause, take that breath, and there's where it will be revealed. When you're coming from this heady spot, this needy spot, it's trouble. So if we're going to suggest something for someone, really, really take the moments in your life to really kind of check out the landscape of what's truly going on. And I paint red flags green. I don't know if you do that, because you want to. Here's the thing that you and I have in common: we want to think the best of everyone.
Yes, and that was I think. Well, apparently it's a double-edged sword because it can be a flaw, I guess.
Yes.
But when I was married, my ex-wife would say, I'm here to protect you because there's people that will use you and you don't even see it. Because I look at people, I was like, oh, he's a great guy. No, he's not. There's this. And I was like, it's hard for me to see that.
Yeah. In a world of, I'm in Hollywood, it's worse. It's a world of transactional relationships. It really is. It's like, what can you do for me? And when you're done doing it for them, they're done. They're done with you. And you go out to pasture. As opposed to who am I really ethereally connected to? And you're one of them, by the way. We don't talk. We'll go years without talking, but you're one of them. You're that guy that the only memories that we have of one another are pleasant, uplifting ones.
Yes.
So why do we so many times in life just not embrace and go further into that? But let's go find the ones that don't like me. Let's find the ones that, like, I fought against her divorce. I mean, with everything that I have, instead of saying, no, that's a person that's not meant for you in this rarefied air. She's in lower vibration, following a crazy person who absolutely talks you should see, I read some of the things on the air that she just a self-obsessed, selfish, greedy person who has to be so self-aggrandized. So go ahead, go follow that. Why do I want to be with someone that would do that would go to somebody like that? Right. Who would tell women to leave their marriages and leave their families and the kids will be fine. They're resilient. Why would I want to be with that as a wife? Apparently, it's what she chose to become. Mm-hmm. I need to use it as an opportunity to find a person in my life that I can connect with. Now, have you had that experience in your life where you just... you connected with someone, you left one thing, and then you have some discoveries when you do that. And what are some of those discoveries you found about yourself?
And I think what you hit something really that I've been thinking about a lot, and that's people's level of energy and people's level of competence and where they're at in life and all these things. And we're all at different levels. Everybody's at different levels. But when you find somebody that's at your level, wherever you are, you could be way at the bottom, in the middle, at the top, I don't know where. But when you connect with somebody and their vibration and their energy is way different than yours, you realize that you guys are just not meant to be friends, to be romance, whatever it is. That I try to find connection. And with connection means you guys are vibing on the same level.
Mhm.
And it's weird. And I say that about religion too. Everybody's like, well, this church is true, this church is true, this is my church, and you get judged for whatever church you go to because everybody thinks their church is the best church
Yeah.
and everybody should go to their church. Where, in my opinion, I think everybody's at different levels of spirituality, how you feel about God, how you and when that happens, you get judgmental, which the one thing God doesn't want you to do is be judgmental. And it seems like those things you tend to you want everybody to be on your level, and if they're not, it's hard sometimes to cut it out and be like, well, obviously they're on this level, and we're never going to connect because they're at this level and I'm at this level.
But letting go when
It's
they're
hard. Oh,
family members is really, really difficult.
yeah.
I
So
do have,
going back,
I have one good experience, amazing experience, which I'd like to duplicate in my life, period, is my mom. I hit a bottom with my mom, didn't talk to my mom, and now it's the most extraordinary relationship to the point where she calls me and says, "You lift me up." I mean, it's unbelievable. We didn't speak. So I know that it can be done with dedication to processes that really vibrate well with you, where you get to truth, where you get to examine yourself, where you go in there and you listen to other people's feedback and things like that. Not just some people that are just trying to take you down, but maybe there's people out there that are indicating a message you might want to hear. I heard a message from my mom and my kids and my ex-girlfriend: get off the damn phone. Instead of fighting that, go, oh, I got to do business and all. I got to go, okay, sacred pause, spiritus, breath. No, you need to hear that. And then we keep evolving from there. If we have those people who can reflect. You tried to reflect some of your truth back to people, and they resisted it. They just pushed it away. How's your relationship with your mom and your younger sister now that you were the one who was, do they ever apologize?
yeah, we've had a meeting. My uncle, who I do the podcast with, called me and said when the kids were found, my mom knew for sure then that Lori was involved in all this, and it took all of that time before she realized, even though there were so many, red flags all the way through that. Um, I got a chance to Rex called me and said, "Hey, your mom wants to sit down and talk with you," and I'm going
This
to
is your
go.
mom's brother.
Yeah, and so I went to my mom. So listen to this. So I moved to St. George, Utah, to do a radio show, and I was there for a year and a half. And when my parents and I were not talking, they lived there. Talk about awkward.
Wow.
Am I going to run into them at the store? Am I going to? It's a small town. So when all this was going on, so finally, when they found the kids and my mom, realized, I went to their house and me and Rex sat there and my uncle and I was talking to my mom and dad, and it turned into me screaming at the top of my lungs at both of them.
Mm.
And I called them every name. I said, you guys are the dumbest people. A lot. Like I literally because I had 2.5 or 3 years of just holding stuff in,
Mm.
being ostracized from my family for me trying to say what was happening and nobody listening to me. And then calling saying I'm uninformed. My dad sent me an email saying I'm uninformed, and just like all these things, I guess therapeutically screaming. But after that, every time I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to go back. Maybe 2 weeks later, went back to their house for dinner, talked again, and then I would get into it again. And literally it took months of me going to their house and turning into screaming at them still. And then it just even was less and less and less and less and less. And now we're at a situation where they're moving down to Arizona to be closer. Summer lives there, my sister. But me and my sister now have a way better relationship. Me and my mom and dad have a better relationship. But it's nowhere like it was before Lori threw this bomb on her family. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even close, but it is going in the right direction.
Well,
And
what about this is something it reminds me of, like weapons of mass destruction. I mean, I remember a guy was ready to punch me and go kiss Saddam Hussein's flag because I questioned whether there were weapons of mass destruction and whether we should be going to Iraq. I use that because it's not as volatile for people as other current things that might be going on. It's a conspiracy theorist, whatever it is. Yeah, it takes a little bit of theory. So you and I had a theory that she was doing and my ex-wife was doing, and people don't want to hear those theories, and they condemn you and they call you a conspiracy theorist or whatever it is. I use that as an example because all the people that argued with me about the weapons of mass destruction, no one ever apologized. No one ever came clean and said, you were right. It's going on now with other topics. But like I said, I think that to me is the symbolic one of how deep people can be in their righteousness. Now, my question is, did they apologize?
Yeah, my mom has apologized probably 1,000 times. It got to the point where, I go to her house and she would cry and apologize. I was like, Mom, you've already apologized way too much. I understand you're sorry. And, I accept your apology. So that has happened.
That's great.
And so we've had those discussions. But it's still a work in progress. I mean, it's still, and there's still stuff that we just don't know and we still don't agree on. So there's still some things that are dividing us a little bit.
Yeah, one of the things that bothers me most is those people. They're in collusion with them, and they're accessories. And I'm sure they have guilt, and they're accessories to this crime. Like if they would have listened, there's this scenario of, well, if they would have listened, maybe they would have stepped in. And that's just something that drives me crazy. You and I have the courage to step in and to speak a truth that no one wants to hear. And that my screaming would be to her accessories to the crime. She's been violent. She's been a criminal, forging documents, all these things. And it's just like, no, it's him. It's him. It's a patriarch. He's dominating and all that stuff. That's what they just assume is true. So my thing is like, hey, get some guts and confront this and truly look at it. I say, if you don't believe me, talk to the children. They're as innocent as could be, and they're going to tell you what they witnessed. And what they witnessed is truth. There's no perception of it. They watched violence. They watched mom run out of the room. They watched mom blow up a family. They watched her do these things. They watched them. They were kidnapped twice. So they're witnesses, just like your niece and nephew are witnesses. Just like the nephew who actually did the documentary that I watched. Witnessed it. This is our story. This is my story. And people want to challenge your own story. Well, challenge your own story that says you can't hear something alternative to what you want to believe and lay in denial. You lay in denial, you're going to die, and other people are going to die, maybe not literally, but figuratively. So there's a repair going on with these people that you just finally you did scream at them. But what you were trying to do the whole time was not to be able to bring it to the scream place, that's where I am. It's like somebody step up. Somebody confront her and say, this doesn't make sense. This is not you. You need to get the hell out of there. You need to stop listening to this crazy person. But you know what they do? They'll email me. They'll send me text messages. Boy, she's nuts. You see what she posted? But what are they doing about it? Did you have anyone else helping you in this process of trying to reveal who she was becoming, who ended up being a murderer, which I'm scared of that, by the way?
Well, Charles is the one who Lori was married to at the time, and he was telling me all this stuff that's going on. Of course, Lori told my family not to listen to anything Charles had to say, so they all cut him off. I was the only one in the family that would take a phone call. So Charles would tell me stuff, and me and Charles were, trying to get her help or not knowing what to do. So again, going back.
I'm sorry. Who's Charles?
Charles was Lori's husband that her and Alex murdered.
Oh, that's the guy. Oh,
husband. Yeah.
So he's on to it. He's trying to work with you. That was an ally of yours.
No,
right?
him and I, what he told me about it. So him and I were trying to get Lori something help somehow, try to get him help. Her
And
help.
by the way, there's another thing that's I want to talk to you about. Where's the help? Where's the help? Where do I lead her to? I just met with the guy the other day. He's talking about ketamine. I'm going, get her on ketamine, whatever the hell it is. Something where she stops with the brainwashing. Where is the help? What kind of mental help? People would say, well, like our kids asked her to go to rehab. Because rehab means rehabilitate. She's been programmed from this woman. Listen to thousands of hours of this woman just constantly on top of the feminine, the feminine. Ladies, women, come on, get your strength, get your independence. That was the messaging. So that gets absorbed like a sponge. Who wrings out the sponge? What kind of a therapy can you do? Where can you send them?
Oh, this is the question, and this is where we're at. And I wanted to bring this up. So even I told my dad, we got to do something about Lori. He said, she's a grown woman. You can't just go into her house. Think about this. If you really want to take charge of it, if I could have saved everybody's life, I would have gone into hog tie Lori, take her to a therapist or a jail or to do something. And then I would be in jail for whatever, for kidnapping her to try to save other people that she would be. And so my dad's like, she's a grown woman. You can't force her to do anything. When she comes out of her delusion, she will. And at this point, she hadn't hurt anybody. That's what he said, because he didn't know.
That's right.
So at this point, what do you do? So Charles, Lori's husband at the time, was telling the police, my wife has gone crazy. She said she was going to kill me. This is all on video camera. It's all in the documentary. Nobody can do anything. Nobody did anything because you can't do anything. What do you do? Lori, then when the police did arrest Lori or sent Lori to a psych eval, she passed it. Who's the person that passed? Who's the guy that interviewed her, passed her? So our system is broke. Police. You go to the police and say, look, my life's in danger, or she could be dangerous or something. What are they going to do? She hasn't committed a crime yet.
So, wow, unbelievable. This is just it rings so true to me. And yes, that was my initial question to you, and you don't have an answer either, is where do you send somebody? Because you'll get they have to want it. They have to want it themselves. Well, really? Well, if they want it themselves, she wanted her children dead. There's the results of that. I had the police here after she was violent again. And no one can believe this. If you ever meet her, there's not a shot. This hippie, woohoo! Oh, so beautiful. Breath work. I do tapping. I do breath work. I meditate. It's just it's peaceful. I go to Joe Dispenza and I have a mantra meditation. No, this is who I am. Craig's just, he's just upset and he's bitter and he's angry because I had enough. And let's pray for him. And this is what she does. So I had the police here. You know what they said to me? They said, listen, I don't want to be rude, but we just had to clean up a woman's head that was smashed in the street. Do you think we're going to think that you need to be protected, a big guy like you?
Yeah.
And another woman at the police station, I said, I thought that she was behind me. Oh, my God, I finally had somebody listening. You ever have that happen? You go, oh, I got somebody listening. This is great. She goes, I met with her, and she said she's fine. That's the extent of the examination. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do an examination. Now you're telling me I probably shouldn't, because there's too many people that are here to don't rock the boat. Don't be alarmed. I'll say things like, I have threatening messages from the cult leader's boyfriend, literally threatening messages to take the children away and so forth. People I don't know, but that doesn't mean anything to anyone. So I keep thinking, is there somebody in her family, her father, is he going to say, that's it, I've had it? Before his two children committed suicide, by the way. Her brothers committed suicide within 3 weeks of one another. Are they going to step up to see that there isn't more of this mental illness that's passed on to my children, where you can't process your own feelings properly? You can't do anything besides being violent or running away or whatever it is, or false arrests. What's going to happen? Where does it explode? Who can predict that? But unless you take the dynamite and to remove the gunpowder, it's bound to blow at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the desperation that I have. It's like, what's next? Because she's calm, because they're calm for a while. You probably didn't hear from for a while, Lori, right? Oh, there's nothing going on, right?
Months nobody heard from her. The people that, even my parents, like, obviously she cut me off a long time, but there was months where her and Chad, they didn't call they cut everybody off. There was, you didn't know what they were doing, where they were.
Yeah.
But there's really nothing, like, what could your ex-wife's father do? Can he just go grab her and say, get out of this cold, I'm going to take you home and lock you in a room? Like, literally, what can anybody do? People have to make their own decisions. Your ex-wife, Lori, Chad, Alex, everybody makes their own decisions. The problem is that we, innocent people, have to endure all this pain, emotional pain, physical pain, financial pain.
My fantasy is rehabilitation. That's my fantasy. And then she would say, rehabilitate from what? I'm fine. Or how about narcissism? How about narcissism, where you are so malignant with your narcissism that you would affect these beautiful children? Oh my God, they're such incredible, beautiful spirits. And she just, okay, let me just blow this up and let you guys deal with it. Let me just, and have no follow-up to that. No honesty, no listening to the children, nothing except bullying. But she's got this, she can't be a bully. I look like a bully. And I look like a bully because I'm trying to get her to go somewhere that she doesn't want to go. So I end up looking like a bully because I desperately want for my children to see somebody in recovery from whatever ails her. Find that out first. But so here's the thing. She actually said this, Adam. She goes, this is when we were married and happy. And by the way, a blissful marriage for a long time. I loved it. I mean, I think she did. I know the kids did. And she just, it's just so sad to just watch somebody fall like that. But she says to me, because I would talk about interventions. I have the courage to do interventions, by the way. I've done them. One of the greatest moments of my life was somebody's intervention for alcohol. And I mean, I walked into that room. She was literally dabbing blood from her shoulder and from her elbow because she had fallen off the bed and blamed the bed. In the middle of the afternoon, watching Steve Wilkos with cigarettes and beer cans everywhere, a grown woman doing that and then saying, no, I don't have a problem, right? Tell me I look like tell me I'm fat, by the way, and I still held on to that. Here's this woman dabbing giant blood with a gauze pad, say, you're fat, Shoemaker. I said, what Shoe Monkey? I said, what do you mean? So like for a second, I took it on. And she's there with this, T-shirt with these boobs that are dropping down all the way to her waist and just sitting there smoking these slim cigarettes and just complete ashtrays and everything. Her life's a mess. And I got on that damn bed. I looked her in the eye and said, we, family, a whole bunch of people, nobody else, but everybody was scared. One of the people said, I'm going to keep my purse in the car for running away. They were scared of her. Like something's going to happen. People are afraid to confront. And I'm not. And that makes me a bully. That makes me the bad guy. That makes me, hey, just let it go. Let it go. People told you to let it go, right?
Yep. Let it go.
Let it go. She's going to find her way. She might even find her way back. She found her way to dig deeper, and which is what scares me about my ex was just in Japan with this woman leader of hers. They went away together, and there they are, just celebrating life and all this pontificating about theories on life and all this stuff. It's theories. But where is the help out there? If I were running for president, if I were in government, the first thing I would do, people talk about mental illness and no one does anything about it. You can't tell me. You cannot know it. Here, you and I have been at this a while. We still don't have a solution for mental illness. Mm-hmm. The cost of rehabilitation is ridiculous. These rehabs are out of sight. So therefore you've got now only the rich can get well. Right?
Yeah. And the rich don't want to get well.
The rich don't want to get well.
They'll get there for a week and then they try to get out because they got money. They want to go do other things.
Yes. And they'll go find a dealer.
Yeah.
they don't want to get well. It's exactly right. But I did this intervention, and you know what? Some of it stuck. I don't know if it still is today. I haven't talked to her in a little while. But I felt very happy, at least, that I planted a giant seed that did grow because she ended up in rehab. Well, how is Lori or how is my ex supposed to know anything if there's not somebody doing that intervention, speaking the truth of reflecting back? Here's what we've seen you do. Reflect and have the guts to do that. That's my dream, is that she's going to have one of her friends. She's got great friends. It says, especially the one who's in recovery, her friend. It really upsets me that she no longer speaks to me either. That's the one where I'm going, 12-step recovery. You had your own bottom and you don't think that you can help your friend? Mm-hmm. It just drives me crazy how people can avoid this. That cop that says, oh, she seems fine. The cops that told me we're not going to do anything about this. I said, I thought if somebody touches you, that it's an arrest. I was arrested and I didn't touch.
Right.
Just based on her saying that I did.
Right.
It's just, it's insane the way our society's set up. So where is the solution? I guess we don't have it today.
No, and that's something that I think that when everybody talks about change, and especially now we're talking about politics, what's going to change in the country? What do we need? But mental health, and it seems like there's more and more people that have mental health issues than maybe 20 or 30 years ago. Maybe just because it's so more open and there's so much more stuff going on, but. I think therapists, I think therapy can work for a lot of people. There's all kinds of therapy that works for helping people with depression, anxiety, listening to music, writing your thoughts down in a journal. We had somebody on our podcast, a vet that came on that now works in Arizona at a horse ranch where you go in the horse therapy. You hug this horse, and the horse knows you're inside and knows what you're going through and can feel your vibration. It's like, this is the kind of stuff that has helped a lot of people, all different types of therapy. And I think for mental health, that has to be number one, is mental health.
But here's the rub. Who has the money?
Right.
The money or Big Pharma. You think Big Pharma is going to encourage that? Because therapy is what's needed, and therapy is a process. Therapy is something you deprogram and recondition yourself. This is what I teach, by the way. This is what my coaching program is about, deprogramming, so you can be truly love, light, levity, be who you really are. People toss around the word authenticity. Yes, that is who you are, but you've been bamboozled by putting stock into it's not going to get better anytime soon, because the leaders are not about that. They're deflecting over to the border. They're deflecting over to here. They deflect where they want you to deflect, so you won't truly look at yourself and examine yourself as a nation and as a person, as a world. You don't examine. And we're not taught to do that. We're not taught to go anywhere, to find these solutions for ourselves, to take what's been conditioned, and we've been bombarded with this conditioning. So that's why the responses are, never worked before, I'm not going to go in there. Let them be. Nope. It's so frustrating. I don't know if in our lifetime that there will be a solution for this. It seems to be getting worse.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just people that are just going to suffer. We're just literally we'll suffer through it and try to do the best that you can and try to be positive. The life is hard already, and then when you have like unexpected life events that are tragic happen to you, then that's where you have to really step forward and just be like, gosh, I know there's not a lot of help for this. I'm just going to have to figure out how to help myself.
And do you ever watch, try to find something you want on Netflix and try to put in the word spiritual healing? Is there anything about love and healing? Nope. Not going to find it. Not going to find it. Doesn't get ratings. What gets ratings, ironically, are cult documentaries.
It's true. People are interested in true crime for sure. And
oh my God, it's at an all-time high. True crime is at an all-time high. We are fascinated by it, but people are just not going to tune into wellness. It's not interesting because we're not programmed that way. If you watch the news every single day, it's only about what bleeds leads.
Yeah.
It's been that way for a long, long time. It's not just now. This is the way it is. And then the entertainment came into it. Now let's entertain you. And the way to entertain you are these stories that you're going to go outside of yourself, but really look in your own family. Now look at yourself. That's where it's all distraction. So is scrolling. So is Instagram, TikTok, all distract, all to take you away from this self expedition that we can all do. I've got to do it constantly. That's part of the reason for doing this as well. I'm getting this out. I need my own healing over this. I'm extremely, extremely saddened to watch this woman I love so much. I absolutely said to her, there is no better person I ever met in my life. There was no she was first, second, and third, bronze, silver, and gold, all in one. And then just apparently didn't feel that about herself and needed to go get outside validation. And Lori, if you could sum that up, is that what she was looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for something like that. Wanted to be special. And she was great all the way until she had that epiphany. You were like, I need to be somebody. I'm somebody. I don't know if it's a midlife crisis. I don't know if it's something when people get to a certain part of their life where they feel dull, or they feel like, even though it's super successful raising kids, it's super successful being a great spouse, doing all kinds of stuff, being in good health, working. Like, there's a lot of things that you can look at yourself being successful, but some people just feel like, I guess I just need more. I want to be more, or something different. I don't know how it
Yeah.
works.
I became very successful. So did you. We were at the top of the heap, man. But the thing is that I kept focusing on is I just wanted to have my family. That's all. Just keep it there. Now the other people out there who sponsor or pay cover charges or whatever it is, of course they're needed as well. But if I just feel like if we keep on, here's my goal right now is to start a movement. The whole thing is, I used to be with politics, I'll admit it, big lefty. And I'm going, oh my God, are they angry? I was there because of the tolerance, because of the empathy for compassion for minorities and so forth. And I'm going, oh my God, they became the party of no, you can't have free speech. You can't even have an inkling of the other side. It's all attack methods, not like saying how great we are and how spiritual we are and how evolved we are. It's like, how dare you, and you're a bad person if you ever supported Trump, all that kind of stuff. That's all started to become. And then they start attack. And now you're giving the guy attention. I said that all along. I was never into him. I go, you're giving him all the attention. He's working your ass, you stupid idiots. You're stupid. So I love being in this independent, mindful space where I get to kind of see it all and just repair my own life. But here's the thing. I want other people to join in on this, contact me and say, I want to be a part of the movement. I want to be a part of a laugh out love movement and have that at the top of our list and have that vibration. It becomes attractive. So let's say my theory is, I don't like theories usually, but here it is. If you raise your vibration and become from a place of laugh out love, right? You're laughing, you're loving, you're living in light, your genuine energy flow. If you have that, you become attractive to the people. So instead of the frauds that they're going for the frauds, the shiny objects, right? This is like something real that we are delivering. And there are going to be people that gravitate towards that will have a curiosity. Yeah, I'm feeling a little midlife crisis. I'm feeling my spouse isn't really paying attention to me and all that. If we bring that, maybe the spouse comes along with you because now they're noticing your vibration is higher. They're noticing something that they were probably detaching from as well. So instead of this blame world, we rising tides lift all the boats. That's my theory. What do you think?
I agree. I think that would be it's a great thing to go and have good ambition, and anything positive, I think, is good. So can you do it? I hope so.
Well, here's the thing. It's a good question. Can you do it? I'm going to answer this off the top of my head. Yes, of course. What if the group was just you and me?
Yeah.
So there, you know what I mean? Like, there it is.
Yep.
Now, that group, I can guarantee, I know this for a fact because I've already seen it. I've had groups myself, the Enlightened Up group and so forth. And I watch people go, I said one of their assignments, I've called them fun assignments. Hey, Why don't you post funny memes on our website, on our Facebook page? So when people wake up, they don't look at something like, look at what the left did. Look at what the right did. You libtards, you conservative maniacs, whatever it is. Instead of that, that's ugly. It's ugly. You want that? Yeah, people get off on that. It's like an addiction. We're addicted to it. It's an addiction. Step away. Okay, I'm going to go to this site. So that's my premise is let's build a site. The Laughter Heals, I've owned that organization for years, a nonprofit. Let's go see some funny memes and funny stories and see people sharing of themselves and even their vulnerabilities and even the difficulties they're having. I'm trying to keep this thing that I'm doing, my wife joined a cult. I'm allowing it to expand with my heart, naturally and organically. Let it expand. And there's going to be people that are cynical going, what the hell is that? I'm going to say to them, if you're listening, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I would guarantee it means you're not evolved. Yeah, I'm opinionated on it. Yeah, I'm arrogant. Yeah, go ahead. You can either listen to that and actually heed the warning, or you can just spit me out and I don't care. I'll never listen to you again. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't need, that's blood money to me. If I have to make myself into what you want me to be,
right,
it's blood money. I'm losing my own heart.
Yeah.
I might as well stab myself in the heart if I'm going to do things for you. This is what I'm connected to. Goodness, kindness, light, bliss. That's why I had you on the podcast today. You are one of those rarefied air people and happen to have had this experience that is absolutely a nightmare. Me too. We share that.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it? The doing about it, she's in jail. My ex has moved on, boyfriend, business. You know what I'm doing, by the way? I'm redoing the, I'm so bad at this stuff. I'm so bad at anything cunning.
Yeah.
Or, like all that. I'm like right out with it too. I'm going to redo the child support. My ex-wife was also, the one before this was also really, really bad. Like really bad. It cost $12,000 a month I was giving her. She still acted like she was this poor single mom she would portray herself as. And by the way, they play that and they get the people that agree. You poor mother. Oh my God. And then this go around, I'm paying her. So then she's saying on the on her podcasts and her stuff on social media, I create wealth for mamas out there. Well, mama, you got some wealth? Pay me. I would love if I gave all the checks I would walk in the door and hand those checks over every single time without any pause whatsoever. I would love to have a dime come back to me instead of being taken away.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know where it would go? I'd build it for the kids.
Yeah.
That's where my life goes. I want these children to live a beautiful life, a possibility. And it's impossible when people take these roads, these narrow roads where they just listen to themselves. They just pat themselves in the back. You go, girl. Then when I saw the You Go Girl, when they said that she escaped her marriage, that's what I saw it on the page.
Oh.
Yeah, you go, girl. You go, girl. You get out of there, because she portrayed it as being abused, which women use that word all the time. And we're not. You can say it all they want. You and I are not. We got bad moments, sure. Maybe you, to the top of your lungs, you scream. I'd probably scream at the top of my, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not who we are at our core. We need more people to connect with our core values, our core morals, our core standards, our core love. We need to connect on that level. You talked about energy. It's energy. And energy follows thought. Now that our thoughts are in this direction, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, you're going to sign up for my coaching program? I'm just kidding.
Actually, I have my own coaching program.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's called accountablegoals.com. So I help people achieve their goals in life, just because I've achieved so many different goals in my life that I feel like I have a formula that can help people achieve, whether it's weight loss or you want to be a singer or you want whatever it is that you want to actually accomplish. I feel like it can help people accomplish that.
And what's it called again? Give you your promo.
Accountablegoals.com is my website.
Accountable goals.
I make people Well, the thing is, I make people accountable for what we decide. When you decide what your goals are, I help you do that. It's the daily check-in with you, and I hold you accountable for what you say you're going to do that day to achieve your goal. And so every day it's a check-in that you'll be held accountable.
That's interesting. It's interesting how I believe that in a relationship that would make it strong. This ex-girlfriend, she's an ex-girlfriend, she says, I said something about, hey, we can reflect to one another, because she helped me. She said, I don't want you to do that. I don't need that, is what she said. And, oh, you don't? Really? So solo, you just stay in your own mind and do things like you just did, like break up with a text message? Oh, yeah, that's good. That's real good. So, yeah, you can really achieve a lot of goals by quitting and running and avoiding. Sure. Oh, yeah, now block me. Oh, yeah, there you go. Right down that road. Yeah, but you're talking about accountability. I love the title. I might sign up. I might sign up for accountablegoals.com.
You coach me, I coach you. I help you with your goals. You help me.
We actually can make a deal. We'll make a side deal where neither one of us charges the other, but we're there for one another. We need to all be there for one another. I'm there for you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
I imagine you are with me for a lifetime. And it manifests itself in funny ways. You had your first movie part was in my pot movie, Totally Baked.
Yes. So funny.
And I got the first time in my life, and by the way, the last, that a straight male had a man crush on me.
You are the best stand-up comic ever. I mean, everybody. I just love it.
Thank you, man. All right. Well, that's right. You saw me recently in Phoenix. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
By the way, on the side here, did the date ever work out?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I knew that. I saw that coming. I saw that coming. There was just, we know. And by the way, in dating, that's the only thing I'm going to have now. Upper vibration.
Yeah.
Upper vibration.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. That's what we want. And we were married to people that didn't want that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them. That's just the way they took it. And you talk about accountable. That's the big thing that bothers me most about, or one of the things that bothers me is non-accountable. This recent ex-girlfriend and my ex-wife, not accountable. And I think people have a difficulty with that. I'm sure you have a difficulty coaching them through that.
Yeah. Yep.
People don't want to admit it. They want to go find somebody that goes, yeah, no. You don't need to be accountable there. No, you're good. You're good. Don't let them be negative. Don't let them no. Because they think you're negative if you're holding them accountable.
Yeah. There's a positive way to hold somebody accountable and still make them realize, oh, I need to do this.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You're the man. I love you.
Appreciate it. I love you too.
And let's keep on going out there. All right. Let's bring light to the world. All right.
Yep. You're doing great.
Thank you, man. All right. Yep. That's Adam, and we're going to go to accountablegoals.com to stay in touch with him.
Yes.
With me, go to craigshoemaker.com. Write me a note. You know what? I haven't put it out there, Adam. I've been doing this podcast now. This is about my 10th episode, I think. It's all been stream of consciousness, but it's from my consciousness. It's from a deeper place of meaning and purpose. It's driving me to do this. Some parts are going to be bitter, angry. This guy hasn't really worked this stuff out. You know what I mean? And there's some parts where people might relate and go, wow, I'm in that space. Well, I'm reaching out to all of you, and you stay in touch with me. You DM me. I will connect with you. If you're attacking, no, you can go bye-bye. But if you're curious, which is such a key to the accountability, be curious. Ask me something if you don't understand it. I will give you the clarification. And we might be in this together. We are in this together.
Yeah.
We actually have a group purpose, and that is to help others. We all need to heal. We need to do it with love and laughter. That's what I believe. That's what I've experienced. And let's just expand that awareness. All right?
Love it.
All right, brother.
Bye now.
Let's hope this recorded. I'm a tech idiot. See.